I've been printing them, publishing them for about 10 years, something like that. Yeah, I write them, draw them. Occasionally I work with other people, but mostly I just do them all myself. Basically, I just, write them and draw them in my free time. I print them myself just to have that sort of kind of DIY style, like punk rock style effect on them, where they're a little rough around the edges. I like that better. I just take them to FedEx office or wherever I can find a copier and just print them myself. Usually it's either stuff I need to work through. I basically use it as free therapy because I can't afford real therapy. If something like kind of funny or weird or like life-changing events, whether it's good or bad, I usually try to work it into a comic, because I think all our lives are just full of stories, and then you can distill them into little chapters, and sometimes it's interesting. I've always found it interesting to read autobiographical stories, especially in comics. I guess I realized I could do comics a lot easier than I could do animation, so I just kind of was more inspired by the people that were making comics that kind of entertained and maybe taught me something about artwork just through reading their books. I mean, it was mostly, I was drawing anyway, and that was like my hobby, so, whenever I wasn't working, I was basically just hanging out at home drawing, so I just figured I might as well get it out there and get some feedback to see what people think. And initially, it was a story I kind of needed to tell. It was like something cathartic I needed to go through to get it out there. And after that, it was more fun, so. So there's the Melvins thing. There's a crocodile eating a pretzel. Yeah, this one, they actually use that. Like, so that's the pencil version of it. And then here's the inked version. So that's the original art. And then we did a print of it, like a 3-color print.
Mm-hmm.
And so we made these guys pink and all the lettering yellow. And they actually used it, which was awesome. And I have a copy signed by them somewhere. And there's another show flyer I did for a band called Irish Car Bombs. I think they traded me some beer for that, so that was cool. And there's another comic I never started. I drew the first page, and I dreamed this weird dream about an electric mustache. And I was like, oh, that could make a good comic. And I drew the first page, like the establishing shot, basically a splash page, and that was all I ever drew. I wrote the story out. It was like just this weird scientist who wanted to become popular at parties, so he made this battery-powered mustache that would just shine, and people would just thought it was strange. Yeah, and ended up he was like a little insane, and he ended up harming someone with his battery-powered mustache. Wally Wood and Kevin Nolan and Don Heck. Oh, there's Naked Lady. There's all the pages from Veggie Dog Cider #1, because it was like a square, but I still drew them big.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd put like little notes up here if I needed to change anything or whatever. Make the trees gray. There's all kinds of places that you can print stuff. I usually do them at FedEx, Kinko's, but that one's out of business now, so luckily the library has a nice printer and I can just do them there. So we're going to do Veggie Dog Saturn Special, which is a book. It's kind of unique because it's a bunch of short stories that I wrote about myself, like true autobio stories, and some friends of mine, some cartoonists. Some of them I've never even met, but we've been pen pals through just through the whole community of small press comics. We've made connections and traded books in the mail for a few years, and some of them have agreed to draw these stories for me, and it's a book I really dig. I think it's a really good book, and I'm glad to be able to print some more, because I sold out of the last batch that I did 2 years, because I've been working with Sparkle Comics, and they do everything sort of professionally as far as the printing goes. They just send out PDFs to a professional printer, and which is cool. I mean, they look really nice, but I kind of enjoy this whole part of it, because I've been making comics like this since I was in high school, like zines and comics, and there's something about doing this that's part of the fun, I think. So I'm actually looking forward to doing that again. here. Yeah, you can get into a groove, and then, I usually do this while I'm like watching a movie or something, so it's not as tedious when you're like doing something else. But I actually kind of enjoy it. It's like the final step of the creation process, like making it an actual book.
Who needs therapy?
Right? Well, I probably do it though. No, this is free therapy. It's a meditation. And at $3 a pop, I'm gonna make it rich.